The man fell asleep inside the time machine. When he woke up, it was 800,000 years later. The Earth had undergone drastic changes, and humanity had devolved to a primitive society, surviving by foraging for wild fruits. They couldn't even make fire. Due to the language barrier, the chief asked Mara to teach Alexander the language of the tribe. Soon, Alexander was able to communicate normally. He found the time machine parked in the forest and shared his story with Mara. Alexander was born in the 19th century. In the winter of 1895, at a ski resort by an icy lake, he successfully proposed to his girlfriend. But at that moment, robbers appeared. Alexander handed over all his valuable possessions to the robbers. However, the robbers still killed his fiancée. Alexander was heartbroken, holding his dead fiancée in his arms. From then on, Alexander locked himself in his laboratory, determined to build a time machine to save his beloved wife. 7 years later, he actually succeeded in creating a time machine. Carefully, Alexander sat inside the machine. He activated the time machine, and as the pocket watch rapidly turned backward, a strong light enveloped the entire time machine. Alexander had succeeded. He quickly took his wife away from the ski resort. Alexander thought he could change the past, but his wife was still struck and killed by an out-of-control carriage. Alexander could not accept this fact. After more than 1,000 time travels, he only saw 1,000 ways his wife died. To find a way to save his wife, Alexander decided to seek answers in the future. He drove the time machine to the year 2030. By then, the human population on Earth had drastically increased. Scientists planned to use 20 million tons of explosives to build a colony on the moon. Everything here was completely unfamiliar to Alexander. He found the National Library, but paper books no longer existed in this era. All information was stored in chips. Alexander asked the artificial intelligence how to change the past. However, there was no record of a time machine in the database. The AI suggested he wait a few more years and see. So Alexander activated the time machine again. He arrived in the year 2037. He was stunned by the scene before him. The once thriving city was now in ruins. It turned out the scientists had miscalculated the amount of explosives and had blown the moon into 2 halves. Danger was rapidly approaching. Alexander quickly activated the time machine, but the intense shaking knocked him unconscious. When he woke up again, he had traveled to 800,000 years in the future. The next day, Mara took him to the origin of her knowledge. Alexander recognized that it was the museum from 2030. Mara took Alexander to the tribe's farm. They used wind power to extract clean underground water. While they were busy with their work, a monstrous roar suddenly echoed from the jungle. Everyone began to flee in panic, and Alexander could only follow them in their escape. Just then, a mysterious creature resembling one from Avatar appeared before him.